Have you heard of Sidney Crosby's new business endeavor?
I saw a headline. I didn't click on it. Enlighten me.
So his new business endeavor is a Swiss watch company called Norquain Watches. It's a bunch of former NHL pros that have put some money together. I guess Sid likes the watches. They threw him some money. He's now going to be endorsing Norquain Watches.
Wait, say it again.
Norquain Watches. Norquain. Watches. Swiss watch company.
Interesting. I thought you said Norquay at first. That was an old ski company, if memory serves me correctly. Anyways.
They sell tires too, by the way.
I'm curious to see. That is that's a very niche market. I'm curious to see how high-end they go or how low-end they go. I'm curious to see what market they go after.
I'd be curious too. I feel like Sid hasn't done anything like endorsement-wise. Like he's done a little bit of Gatorade, a little bit of Reebok. Maybe not as much now they've gone CCM is in the back nine. But I haven't seen him do any endorsement stuff in a bit.
If he, once he's done retiring, then I think he'll start dipping his toe in. I'm pretty sure he's done stuff locally in Pittsburgh and whatnot. But, I think he's been more of the NHL's ambassador. They eat up a lot of his time and make sure that he's well compensated to not take as many endorsements. But I think once he retires, that's when you'll see him he'll probably end up being a model for his own watch company.
He's a good-looking dude. You know what? Can I be honest with you about Sidney Crosby? I remember when he came in the show, 05, 06. And I kind of hated him. You know, like this young little punk.
You're talking what you say in the show, you mean the NHL, not this show.
No, in the NHL. We'll have him on the show one day. But Sidney Crosby comes into the National League, and he's this young punk. He's whining, he's complaining. I remember when the Philadelphia Flyers fans put Crosby's face in the urinal so that everybody could like piss on him in the men's washrooms. I thought that was funny. But as time has gone on, I kind of like Sid a lot more. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the maturity. Maybe it's just the respect of like everything that he's accomplished. I've become a little bit of a fan. I don't know about you.
Well, they just voted, the NHLPA, his peers voted him the most complete player in the entire league for the 5th year in a row. So despite the fact that he maybe got accused of being a whiner and all this kind of stuff, we've seen all the trauma that he's gone through in his career between the concussions and he's had to take a total of maybe a year and a half, 2 years off throughout his career and still put up the numbers and the amount of mugs that he has. I mean, he's gained and earned everyone's respect. And in the polar opposite, when Ovechkin came in, he was more of the brash, look at me, look at me, look at me. And so you had these two very polarizing, not necessarily polar opposite characters, but two that were criticized for different things as far as who's going to carry the mantle and be that ambassador of the league. And I think they've both done a great job in their own right of promoting the league in their own way.
You think with as a fan, Sid's like, he's whining, he's complaining because he's so into it and he just wants to win. And then Ovi's the showman. He's the big sell. He's the great style, the tongues, the flop, the tinted visor, the big goals, the nasty finishes. And Sid's just getting it done. It's not as flashy.
I think for Alex, it was, I'm having fun doing this. And Sidney was, this is all I do. This is just what I do, period. And I think a lot of the complaining was, if everyone's not going to be as fast as me, they can't just pull me down. That's not fair. You know, he knows he's faster than everybody. He knows he's better than everybody. You'll never hear him say it. But the fact that he had so many hurdles in his way and the league was just the league, in his brain, he's like, this isn't fair. I'm faster than everybody. If they can't, they're not allowed to do that. And that's where the complaining came in.
Also, we do not know who his girlfriend is. It is Kathy something. She's a U.S. model, by the way. I can't remember her last name off the top of my head, but she's a U.S. model, and it is public. There's only like 2 pictures of them online that I was able to uncover. Very private, though. You are correct on that.
Wow. Well, look at you sleuth.
Did you see, though, your boy Pat McAfee had Sid on to throw a football?
Yeah,
you see that?
Nailed it. It was awesome. He did a little live show in Pittsburgh there, raised a whole bunch of money for charity. He had Shane Gillis on, but out of all the guys to throw, they had a big net set up at the end of the stage, and McAfee's kind of walking around chatting with everybody, telling jokes. And then he had a few of the boys come out, and Sid drops one in the middle of the net. Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. I love I love how humble Sidney is. That's one polar opposite in comparison to Alex, where, well, it's been a long time since I played football, and we'll see how this goes. And he nails it and still kind of humble. It's great.
What
it's
a specimen. Because when he was being humble, I was listening to that, and I took that at face value. He probably hasn't played football in a long time. Mm-hmm. Maybe he has no skills.
Just a natural athlete.
Like you and I don't know about you. I've never really played any competitive baseball ever. And if I was to go and throw a baseball, it'd be awful. If I was to go throw a football, I would not be hitting that target. And I figured he's kind of in the same boat, but absolute specimen, right down the middle, bullseye.
Yeah, it was a perfect, perfect spiral too. Good for him.
I think even Pat was like, "Oh my God, this dude just nailed this." This 20 yards out?
Yeah, and Shane Gillis came on as well, and he donated $50,000 and matched McAfee's donation to the Special Olympics in Pennsylvania. So, no, listen, man, Pat McAfee, I give him so much credit. You want to talk about a guy that figured out how to do it after retirement. Woo!
Pat is the man.
Good for him. Good for him.
Do you know his story, though? Like the start to finish story of he's playing for the Colts, retires, and then where does he get to get to today?
I think it's kind of a similar story as far as Joe Rogan. He just decided to throw up some microphones and drag his buddies in. Like, he had a boatload of money, so he made an investment in a nice studio, started rolling on YouTube, and eventually ESPN is like, yo, we want your numbers, man. And he's like, let me do what I want. And they said, okay, come on in. They've had some hurdles along the way trying to figure each other out and what's right and what's the right brand for ESPN and what's the right brand for Pat McAfee. But it seems like they figured it out.
You think that this is going to be sustainable long term?
It's one of their top-rated shows.
I love you mentioned it to me off the air, but how he said, I'm going to keep wearing the wife beater. I'm wearing the beater. That's not changing. Can we get you in a shirt? No.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, listen, I'm not trying to compare situations here, but when they decided to put my radio show on TV,
that was big though for Winnipeg, especially. At the time.
It was, yeah. And there was people picking that up in North Dakota and Minnesota, and if you had the right cable package, you could get it across the country. And we had a lot of people from across Canada texting in on a regular basis. But I remember them telling me the same thing. They're like, "Okay, you can't wear a hat anymore." I'm like, "That's what I do. I wear hats. I have hats." And so they're like, "You can't do it." I said, "I'm going to." And they said, "Okay." And the way we went, I just wore hats. I'm not saying it's not a wife beater by any stretch, but it's a little unconventional when it comes to television.
I guess the big wigs of Rogers in the TikTok comment section have something in common. They both hate you wearing hats.
Whatever.
Both are the mentality of a bunch of 13-year-olds, but
hey, more hockey content. It might be old, it might be new, it might be a full episode, it might be a half episode, but you can click these boxes because who doesn't like clicking boxes?